This is the true story of the prophet who watched a field of dead bones stand up and walk. A priest in exile by a foreign canal, 800 miles from the only temple he had ever known. The sky opens above his head. A throne, 4 faces, wheels covered in eyes, and then a voice. For more than a year, he lies on the ground in front of his own house, his body a prophecy his neighbors cannot read. He shaves his head with a sword. He bakes bread over cow dung. His wife dies on the day the siege of Jerusalem begins, and God forbids him to weep. He watches the glory of the Lord walk out of his own temple. He watches a river flow from under a new temple, healing the deadest water on earth. And one day, God leads him in vision to a valley.
Son of man, can these bones live?
Stay with us until the end. The most extraordinary visions in the Old Testament were given to this one man on a riverbank in Babylon. Subscribe to Ark Films channel and join the Ark crew. That means the world to us. Let's begin. It was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's exile, the 4th month, the 5th day of the month. A 30-year-old priest named Ezekiel stood among the exiles beside an irrigation canal called the Kabar. He was the son of Buzi of the priestly line. He should have been lighting incense in Jerusalem. Instead, he was a captive in Babylon, 800 miles east of his calling. The Babylonian army had stormed Jerusalem and dragged King Jehoiakim and 10,000 of his people off in chains. Ezekiel was one of them. Then, by the canal, the heavens opened above his head. A windstorm was coming from the north. Inside the storm, an immense cloud. Lightning flashed through the cloud. A halo of brilliant light burned around it. At its center, something glowing white-hot, like metal in a furnace. Inside the glow, 4 creatures appeared. Each one had a human form, but each one had 4 faces and 4 wings. A man on the front, a lion on the right, an ox on the left, an eagle on the back. They moved together, never turning, fast as lightning. Beside each creature stood a wheel within a wheel, sparkling like topaz. The rims of the wheels were full of eyes that looked in every direction. The wings sounded like rushing water, like an army on the march. Above the creatures stretched a crystal dome. Above the dome stood a throne of deep blue stone. On the throne sat a figure shaped like a man. He glowed the same way the cloud had glowed, surrounded by light like a rainbow on a rainy day.
This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down.
The throne was not silent. A voice came from it. It did not call Ezekiel by name.
Son of man, stand up on your feet, and I will speak to you.
Son of man. That title would land 93 times across the book, always pointed at Ezekiel. As God spoke, his spirit came into Ezekiel and lifted him to his feet. Then the voice gave him the assignment.
I am sending you to the Israelites, to a rebellious nation. The people I am sending you to are obstinate and stubborn. Do not be afraid, though briars and thorns are all around you, and you live among scorpions.
Then a hand reached out from the throne. In the hand was a scroll, unrolled, written on both sides. The words on the scroll were lament, mourning, and woe.
Son of man, eat what is before you. Eat this scroll. Then go and speak to the people of Israel.
Ezekiel opened his mouth. He ate the scroll. It was sweet as honey. Then God named the job.
Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the people of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me. When I say to a wicked person, "You will surely die," and you do not warn them, I will hold you accountable for their blood.
A man on a city wall has one job. When the army is coming, blow the trumpet. If the people hear and ignore him, that is on them. If he never blows it, that is on him. God did not just send Ezekiel to preach. He sent him to act. The prophet's own body would become the message. Every command came in one prophetic session, command after command, while Ezekiel listened.
Son of man, take a block of clay, put it in front of you, and draw the city of Jerusalem on it. Then lay siege to it. Lie on your left side and put the sin of the people of Israel upon yourself. Bear their sin for the number of days you lie on your side.
"390 days for Israel's sin, 40 more on his right side for Judah's, 1 day for each year."
Eat the food as you would a loaf of barley bread. Bake it in the sight of the people, using human excrement for fuel.
For the first time in the book, the prophet pushed back.
Not so, sovereign Lord. I have never defiled myself.
Very well. I will let you bake your bread over cow dung instead.
The last command would not be performed until the long stretch was over.
Son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a barber's razor to shave your head and your beard. Then take a set of scales and divide up the hair.
And then, in the same breath, God told him what the hair would mean.
A third of your people will die of plague or famine inside the city. A third will fall by the sword outside the walls. A third I will scatter to the winds.
Then Ezekiel began. He set up the brick. Around it he built siege works, ramps, battering rams the size of his hand. He set an iron pan between himself and the brick like a wall. Then he lay down on his left side beside it. For a priest, this was humiliating. Bread baked in public over cow dung. wheat with barley, beans with lentils, 6 grains in one loaf, the food of a city under siege. Soon Jerusalem would eat the same. For over a year, Ezekiel lay on the ground in front of his own house, while neighbors walked past and stared. When the 430 days finally ended, he stood up. He obeyed the last command. He divided the hair into 3. 1/3 he burned inside the brick city. 1/3 he struck with a sword around it. 1/3 he threw to the wind. Hair, brick, sword. Each was Jerusalem. This was the prophecy, acted out in advance instead of spoken. One afternoon, the elders of Judah came to sit in Ezekiel's house. While they sat there, the hand of the sovereign Lord fell on him. The figure from the throne stood before him again, glowing the same way he had glowed by the canal. A hand reached out and took Ezekiel by the hair. The Spirit lifted him between earth and heaven and carried him in vision. His body stayed in the house in Babylon. His eyes saw what no one else there could see. He found himself at the north gate of the temple in Jerusalem, God's temple, the one Ezekiel had been born to serve. There at the entrance stood an idol.
Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The utterly detestable things the Israelites are doing here, things that will drive me far from my sanctuary.
Then God showed him something worse. A hidden door in the temple wall. God told him to dig through it. Inside, a sealed room. 70 elders of Israel stood there in the dark, censers of incense in their hands, crawling creatures and unclean animals painted on every wall. The leaders of God's people, worshipping in secret. In the dark, they whispered.
The Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken the land.
But in the vision, God was right there in the room with them, hearing every whisper. Outside in the courtyard, women wept for the Babylonian god Tammuz. At the inner court, 25 men turned their backs to the temple and bowed to the sun in the east. Still in the vision, Ezekiel watched judgment arrive. 6 executioners walked through the city, each with a weapon in his hand. A 7th, dressed in linen, went ahead of them with a writing kit at his side. God spoke to the man in linen.
Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it.
The man in linen obeyed. He marked the few who grieved. The executioners followed and killed everyone unmarked. Then the glory of the Lord began to move. The glory was the visible presence of God on earth, the brightness that had lived above the Ark of the Covenant in the temple's deepest room for as long as Israel had a temple. The same brightness Ezekiel had seen above the throne by the canal. Now it began to leave. It rose from above the cherubim inside the temple. It stopped at the threshold as if hesitating. The cherubim spread their wings. the glory moved to the east gate. There it paused. From the east gate, God spoke to Ezekiel about the exiles back in Babylon.
Although I sent them far away among the nations and scattered them among the countries, yet for a little while I have been a sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone.
Then the glory left the city and stopped above the mountain east of it. God had walked out of his own house. The vision ended. The Spirit returned Ezekiel to his house. The elders of Judah were still sitting in front of him. He told them everything he had seen. The exiles kept coming to Ezekiel for the word of the Lord. One day, God gave him a story to tell them, the story of Jerusalem, as if she were a person. She was born unwanted, her cord uncut, her body unwashed, thrown out into a field on the day of her birth, still in her own blood. No one came for her. Then a king passed by. He saw her lying in the dirt. He said one word.
I passed by and saw you kicking about in your blood, and as you lay there in your blood, I said to you, live.
He raised her. He bathed her. He clothed her in fine linen and gold. He put a crown on her head and fed her honey and the finest flour.
You became very beautiful and rose to be a queen. Your fame spread among the nations on account of your beauty, because the splendor I had given you made your beauty perfect.
Then she forgot where the beauty had come from.
You trusted in your beauty and used your fame to become a prostitute. You lavished your favors on anyone who passed by.
She took the gold and jewelry he had given her and melted them into idols. She offered his food as incense to the statues. She built shrines on every street corner. She gave herself to every nation around her, to Egypt with its chariots, to Assyria with its swords, to the very Babylon that would one day carry her into exile. Then she did the thing the king had never imagined.
You took your sons and daughters, whom you bore to me, and sacrificed them as food to the idols. You slaughtered my children.
In a valley outside Jerusalem called Hinnom, parents burned their own children alive in fires built to a god called Molech. Not metaphor. Real fires. Real children. Judgment was coming, but it was not the last word God spoke over her.
Yet I will remember the covenant I made with you in the days of your youth, and I will establish an everlasting covenant with you.
Even after the betrayal, God would not let her be the end of the story. A new covenant was coming, one the betrayal could not break. Years passed. Then one morning, God told Ezekiel to write down the exact date, the 9th year of exile, the 10th month, the 10th day. At that very moment, 800 miles west, the armies of Nebuchadnezzar were pitching their tents around Jerusalem. God was telling Ezekiel as it was happening.
Son of man, with one blow, I am about to take away from you the delight of your eyes. Yet do not lament or weep or shed any tears. Groan quietly. Do not mourn for the dead.
Before sundown, the dearest person in Ezekiel's life would be gone. That evening, his wife died. The next morning, Ezekiel did exactly as God had commanded. He went about his day with a hollow look and a closed mouth, while the neighbors watched. They finally asked the question they should have asked years ago.
Won't you tell us what these things have to do with us?
He answered,
I am about to desecrate my sanctuary, the stronghold in which you take pride, the delight of your eyes. You will not mourn or weep, but will waste away because of your sins.
The temple was the delight of God's eyes, the way Ezekiel's wife had been the delight of his. God was making them feel what he felt, through a grief his prophet had to carry first. The siege had begun that morning, and God gave him another command.
On the day a fugitive comes to tell you the news, your mouth will be opened. You will speak with him and will no longer be silent. So you will be a sign to them.
From that day forward, Ezekiel kept silent about Jerusalem's fate. The siege would last 1.5 years before the city finally fell. Almost 3 years passed. Rumors arrived with caravan traders, but no hard news. Then, before the news could come, God spoke to Ezekiel.
Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the people of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me.
The watchman's job, given a second time. The way an army reissues orders the night before the trumpet sounds.
As surely as I live, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but rather that they turn from their ways and live. Turn from your evil ways. Why will you die, people of Israel?
It was the warmest line God had spoken in this book. Then, in the 12th year of exile, the 10th month, the 5th day, a man stumbled into the exile camp. He had escaped from Jerusalem. He said 4 words.
The city has fallen.
Ezekiel's mouth opened. He had been silent about Jerusalem since the day his wife died. The silence broke that day. But what God said next was the bitterest line in the book.
My people come to you, as they usually do, and sit before you to hear your words, but they do not put them into practice. To them you are nothing more than one who sings love songs with a beautiful voice and plays an instrument well.
The city was gone. The temple was gone. And God spoke against the shepherds of Israel. The kings, the priests, the prophets who had been supposed to lead his people but had failed them.
You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally.
They had eaten the sheep instead of feeding them. So God said he would do the job himself. He would search for the sheep, gather them, bring them home, and then he said something that made the exiles by the Kibbutz lean forward.
I will place over them one shepherd, my servant David, and he will tend them. He will tend them and be their shepherd.
David had been dead for 400 years. God was not bringing him back. He was promising a shepherd in David's line. A king the rest of the Bible would keep waiting for. 600 years later, the shepherd arrived. He stood up and named himself.
I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep.
Then God said the harder promise.
I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit in you.
Not a better effort, not a more obedient nation. A surgery the people could not perform on themselves. After the city fell, another vision came to Ezekiel. The hand of the Lord came on him. The Spirit lifted him up and set him down in the middle of a valley. The valley was full of bones. The bones covered the ground. They were very dry. Then God asked him a question.
Son of man, can these bones live?
Sovereign Lord, you alone know.
By that point, Ezekiel refused to underestimate God.
Prophesy to these bones and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life.
Ezekiel opened his mouth and spoke God's word over a graveyard. A rattling rose from the valley. Bones moved across the dirt, bone to bone. Tendons stretched, muscle climbed over them. Skin covered everything. The valley filled with bodies, but none of them moved. There was no breath in them.
Prophesy to the breath. Say to it, Come, breath, from the four winds, and breathe into these slain, that they may live.
Ezekiel spoke to the wind. The wind came. Breath entered them. Their chests rose. Their eyes opened. They stood up, a vast army, alive. Then God explained what Ezekiel had seen.
Son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, Our hope is gone. We are cut off. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them.
The exiles were the bones. The exile had been the grave, and one day God would call them out of it. The vision ended. Ezekiel was back in his house in Babylonia. He told the exiles what he had seen, and what they were going to become. 25 years had passed since the exile began, 14 years since the city fell. Then Ezekiel was given one last vision. The Spirit took him to a very high mountain. From there he saw a new temple. The structure was finished, and then he saw it.
I saw the glory of the God of Israel coming from the east. His voice was like the roar of rushing waters, and the land was radiant with his glory.
The glory came back from the same direction it had left. It passed through the east gate and filled the new temple. Then Ezekiel saw water. It came from under the threshold of the temple. It flowed east. A man with a measuring rod led Ezekiel along it. After 1,000 cubits, the water came up to Ezekiel's ankles. Another 1,000, his knees. Another 1,000, his waist. After the next 1,000, the river was too deep to cross. It was deep enough to swim in. It flowed down into the Dead Sea, the saltiest, deadest water on earth. And when the river entered, the Dead Sea became fresh. Fish swarmed. Fishermen stood on its banks. On either side of the river grew trees.
Fruit trees of all kinds will grow on both banks of the river. Their fruit will serve for food, and their leaves for healing.
600 years later, on the last day of a great festival in Jerusalem, the source of this river stood up in the temple courts and named himself.
Let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them.
And on the last page of the Bible, an exile on a different island saw the same river still flowing.
Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations.
Ezekiel was given visions no other prophet saw. The lessons under all of it are simple enough for any of us to take home tonight. The elders in the hidden room whispered in the dark, "The Lord does not see us." He was standing in the room with them. The rooms you hide in are not hidden. There is no version of you God has not already met. Stop performing. When the glory walked out of the Jerusalem temple, God was already with the exiles by the foreign canal. He had been in Babylon with his people the whole time. He was never stuck in a building. If your life right now does not feel like home, he is not somewhere else. He is exactly where you have been driven. The exiles came to hear Ezekiel speak. They sat down, they listened, they left without changing. The hardest thing in the spiritual life is not hearing the truth. It is what you do with it after you have heard. Choose the harder thing. In the vision, the exile's voice came through. Our hope is gone. We are cut off. They were wrong. The place you feel cut off from is a place God still has access to. There is no part of your story too dead for his voice. Stop agreeing with the lie. And the same glory that walked out of the temple walked back in. The path of return uses the same road as the path of departure. Whatever you have walked out of, God knows the way back. Tell us in the comments, which Bible story should we cover next? Subscribe to ARC Films channel and join the ARC crew. That means the world to us. And if Ezekiel's vision of the bones moved you, watch the resurrection it foretold. The story of Jesus' final days.